This is Colin McGuigan for IFLTV. Francisco, we're in New York. How are you?
Good, mate. You're so big time now. You got camera guy. Like normally it's just you, like doing everything. But times have changed.
We move up.
Yeah.
We move up in the world, my
Never
friend.
in doubt. Never in doubt, mate.
Frank, obviously breaking news today. Francisco Rodriguez has returned an adverse finding. When did you find out about this?
Today, it was like, well, time zones wise, it was 8 o'clock last night when we were here out, and then we got the news out first thing this morning in the UK. I wanted to speak to Galal and his team, obviously, before anything went out. I wanted him to be the first to know. So, yeah, I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning UK time, about 7, 8 p.m. here. And then spoke to Galal as soon as I was up this morning, and then we announced it immediately.
What does that conversation with Galal look like? Does he ask you about a no contest then, or what?
Yeah, obviously he's saying, what are we going to do? And, you know, we'll do our job with Galal. There is a process, as we've been in this situation on all sides before, there is a process that will now be gone through. It's a process we're not really involved in at that point. You know, ultimately he will go and his B sample will be tested, and then the British Boxing Board of Control and the WBC, when it comes to, obviously that was a mandatory fight, it was in a position to challenge for the world title, will decide what the next steps are. So, you know, we'll be working through that as and when. Over the next, I guess, month or so, the time period. But as soon as we got the news, we got it out there.
Is this becoming a bit of a pandemic in boxing, Frank?
It's not good. It's not good, but at the same time, you know, we've been here before where these testing is good to highlight issues. You know, so the more testing we do, and we do a lot of testing, we've spoken about this on numerous occasions, the amount of VADA tests, the amount of additional testing we do with our fights is well and above and beyond what the majority of promoters do. But yeah, we want to clean up the sport, of course we do. At the same time, we have to go through the process that we've been through with other fighters, you know, fighters that we represent on the other hand. So you have to allow that process to take place, and as soon as that's been done, there'll be clarity on what the next steps are, and that'll be something the British Boxing Board of Control and the WBC will handle.
We've seen today that Chris Eubank Jr. has been fined $10,000 for social media use in terms of this sauna incident. Does that in any way jeopardise the Conor Benn fight? Because the board are saying that fine needs paid before any fight is sanctioned.
It was the cheapest fine he's had to date, isn't it? The whole thing's a bit wild, if I'm honest. How you doing, Rob? I don't represent Chris Eubank Jr., but even then, like, to fine him 10 grand. But isn't the thing, forget the social media aspect of it, wasn't the whole thing that they wanted to discuss what was behind the social media? So I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm not getting involved.
Well, obviously you're in discussions about making this Conor Benn fight, right?
It's there. It's signed. It was
they're saying it's not going to be sanctioned until the fine's paid. Could Chris maybe? Does this change things? Does it change negotiations?
It's 10 grand, isn't it?
More from a principle perspective, because Eubank kind of will probably want to make a point of saying, well, why didn't I pay 10 grand? Which you can also half understand.
I don't disagree with it. It's like, what are you dealing with? Are you dealing with the fact of him posting on social media, or are you dealing with the fact of him breaking your rules effectively, is what you're saying? So, again, it doesn't always make sense. It's a massive fight. I don't think it will stand in the way of this fight happening, if I'm honest. I might have to scrape. I think we can scrape together 10 grand between me and you, and just to see it again.
Another.
Sorry, I'm not paying your fine, by the way.
You've just said exclusive. Frank Smith will pay Chris Eubank Jr.
together. We will scrape together.
That could be the beginning of you and Chris's relationship revitalised.
Could be a Christmas present.
Frank, Harlem Eubank.
Yeah.
He's complained about the commentary from Tony Bellew called Frampton. What's your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, look, I saw his comments. The one thing I said yesterday in an interview, it's always difficult, and this is where really the board or the referee or a spokesperson for the board should come out immediately after that fight in the post-fight interviews and say, this is what happened. Because let's be honest, we were all sitting there going, none of us really knew what had happened. You know, some were saying it was Jack's corner said he was fine, then they were saying it was Harlem's doctor said it couldn't continue. Harlem's doctor then afterwards said no, it was nothing, it wasn't me, I said it could continue. So you need that clarity. It's very hard to commentate when you're sort of guessing, is my first thing. You know, I haven't watched back the commentary that he's talking about, or the post-fight piece he's talking about. You know, look, Carl Frampton, for years, like, it was his first show he's worked on of a Matchroom show. You know, he's obviously come across as part of the Queensbury relationship with DAZN. It was the first night he'd worked on, so it's not like Carl Frampton has an allegiance to Matchroom, you know, to say what we want to hear. You So without hearing what they've said, it's hard to comment. But I do think the board have to implement something moving forward that gives more clarity, not just for the people talking about it, but the fight fans as well.
Frank, we're obviously here for the Ring Magazine event today. You guys have Shakur Stevenson on this. Is this Shakur's last fight with Matchroom? There's a lot of confusion around that deal.
Yeah, look, he's spoken about it. He did an interview. We've got a very good relationship with him. I think it's worked well. I think he's gotten well with Eddie. And hopefully beyond that, we can continue to work with him. We believe we can make great fights for him. We believe we're beneficial for his career. And I think, we'll see. He's going to make the decision that makes the most sense for his career.
Do you have like a first option on that contract whenever it does finish?
Ooh, anything's possible.
You always remain tight-lipped on those things.
I know, but it's like there's a fine line, isn't there? When it comes to these things. We're getting on well, and he's got this fight against Cepedo. He's got to get through Saturday night and then go from there.
What about Edgar Balanga? Will there be an appetite to maybe work with Edgar down the line again, or is that kind of finished?
No, I think it changes perceptions. Obviously, if a deal makes sense for us down the line, that makes sense for him as well, then there could be something there. I don't think the relationship will ever be the same as it was, in truth. It changes. Things change. And I said in an interview yesterday, relationships are very different based on what stages of careers they started. I think if you've been with someone from day one and you've backed and invested, and look, everyone's different. Every situation, scenario, Hitchens being a great example. I think what we've done in the last 2 years with Hitchens' career, an example of a fighter that even though he hasn't been with us from day one, I think we've he's done it in the ring, but we have delivered outside of the ring on everything we said we would. So, yes, case by case. Edgar Balanga, could we work together again? Yes, if it makes sense.
In terms of yesterday, I spoke with Jake Paul. We had a conversation. He said he's agreed with AJ. They're going to have 2 fights each, and then they're going to fight. Have you been involved in any of these discussions?
No, not me. Not me. He says a lot, Jake Paul. I get why. Look, if I was AJ, and or if I was a boxer, and you could go and have an easy...
You were about to say I'd fight Jake Paul, and then you caught yourself on
that. Jake Paul. I mean, if I was getting paid a load of money, I'd fight Jake Paul. I mean, he would absolutely finish me. I'm an honest guy. I'm not a liar, but I understand. If you're a professional boxer who's boxed at the highest level of the sport, and you can get paid a fortune to chin some geezer who's just come out of nowhere and was a Disney star, I get it completely.
But how does that work contractually or promotionally? Because obviously Matchroom MVP don't really work together. There's been a wee bit of...
Look, we still represent Casey Taylor. Anything's possible.
But AJ is AJ at the end of the day. You're not going to sell his rights to let him go fight on a Netflix show, for example, right?
AJ will be the A side, obviously. No, look, I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it, is what you've just said there.
Do you truly believe, if I'm asking you honestly, do you think that fight happens?
Anything's possible. Do you know what? I've learned in boxing not to question anything, because how many things have we questioned over the years that ultimately end up happening? So if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, cool. The main focus, everyone wants to see the Tyson Fury fight. That's got to be the focus. But anything is possible in this mad old game of boxing, isn't it?
We're also here for Katie Taylor against Amanda Sorano. I know you spent some time there yesterday. Speaking with Katie, you confident ahead of this Friday night bout?
Yeah, look, it's a great fight. It's been 2 close fights, 2 brilliant fights, 2 great wins for Katie Taylor prior to this. Some people questioned those wins, but she's going to prove again why she's number 1, and why she is at the top of the sport. It's going to be another amazing night. I said when that first MSG fight happened, probably one of the best events or atmospheres I've ever seen. And I've travelled the world and been involved in major events for the last 14 years. It was spectacular.
Is it fair enough to say that basically Katie Taylor fights this fight, right? She goes home maybe for a homecoming in Ireland?
Possibly. Or she might go, I don't want to do it anymore. Or she might go, I want to take this fight. And whatever, she'll do anything. She'll do anything she wants to do. She's in charge, and she deserves to make whatever choice she wants next. Whether that's a homecoming in Ireland, whether that's in the ring. Do you know what? What more can I do in this sport? Who knows? That's for her to decide.
With Anthony Kakachi pulling out of the Ray Ford fight, are we likely to see maybe a Jazz the Dickens Ray Ford? Has that been spoken about?
Obviously, look, it's a Riyadh season show, or esports, the esports finals show. It would be great for Ray Ford still to be on the card. As we've seen, it has to be the right kind of fight, and that's our job, to try and keep that going for Ray Ford. It's a shame. It would have been a great fight against Kakachi, I don't know I think, what was it, shoulder back? You'd know, you're basically his agent. Wish him all the best, a speedy recovery, but we've got to focus on Ray Ford and getting him a fight now.
Well, Frank, I'm sure we'll catch up again this week. Really appreciate your time as always on IFLTV.
Thank you, Colin.